Hello, guys and gals, me Mudahar, and I think Nintendo might think of suing us and plenty of other people that bought a pretty spooky device known as the MIG Switch. Now, if you're looking carefully on here, I don't know how great the camera is focusing. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a cartridge that allows you to basically play your ROMs on an actual, official, honest-to-God, halal Nintendo Switch. Now, you might be wondering, but Muda, how did you get something like this? How is this so freely accessible? Now, I want to start off the video by saying piracy is wrong, okay? And I genuinely do not want to promote it. If you ever watched my content where I talk about modding, consoles like the Wii U, like the PlayStation 3, like the Xbox 360, like the 3DS, like anything, I pretty much mention everything you need to, except the whole part about downloading ROMs and running them through loaders, okay? It's not something that I necessarily want to make as a focal point on the channel. It's not just because it's against YouTube's terms of services, it's just because anytime you deal with this kind of content, people who genuinely, like to conflate game preservation with piracy always use that as sort of like an attack towards the entire video's credibility. So anyways, this is MIG Switch, okay? Now, this is a $64 cartridge, and if you're looking at it carefully, it looks like a standard Nintendo Switch cartridge. Now, to give you an idea about how this works, okay, Nintendo has had plenty of leaks, okay? One of them was the datasheet leak back in the day where effectively the hardware specifications for the Lotus 3, which is the Switch game card, actually were leaked. Now, there's a lot of, hardware specifications, and I'm not an expert in any of this by any imagination, but they basically say the bridge, ASIC, is the hardware inside the Switch console that reads the game card. So you can think of it as a bridge between the console and the game. It has been designed by the combination of Megachips Corp and Macronix International. The ASIC has two interfaces. The eMMC interface for connecting the console to the Nintendo Game Memory interface connects to the card. So basically the idea is the people behind this MIG Switch effectively had dug into how the Lotus 3 game cards had worked, and basically had replicated the ability for you to run your own ROMs, and as far as the Nintendo Switch is considered, this poor little device, it thinks when I put this cartridge in, it's the real deal. Now, I want to start off by saying this comes with some caveats, okay? Now, I've seen Linus kind of talk about this on his channel, where he says, 5 mods Nintendo wishes were illegal. So this is the MIG Switch, by the way, and again, he's showing it, and he talks about the relation it has to an individual known as Gary Bowser, who, as you know, has had his life ruined, basically, by Nintendo. But obviously, he talks about this whole situation, discusses how this cartridge works, and where I definitely have a disagreement with Linus is that Nintendo doesn't just wish this was illegal. I am sure by how this has been circumvented, this probably is actually illegal, okay? Now, the reason I'm talking about this like this is because I've only really figured this out after the fact. Now, I bought this product like 3 months ago, and let me explain how shady this process was. I bought it 3 months ago, kind of forgot that it was coming in the mail until my mom had come to visit me. When my mom visited me, the literal package was like this tiny little pouch you got. It couldn't have been larger than like an envelope. And, it kind of looked like you were buying drugs off of the dark web. My mom hands it over to me, I open it up, it's actually literally the MIG Switch console device, or this cartridge. Now, honestly, this is a cartridge that I would typically use just to play my own games, so games like Shin Megami Tensei 3, Diablo 3 Eternal Collection, which is brilliant on the Switch, No Man's Sky, or Metroid Dread, if I'm flying around, or, I just want to have all of my games on one cartridge, okay? Basically, I put it in, and I can just play my actual physical games as if I could carry them all with me, versus carrying around each individually expensive cartridge with me. That's one of the reasons why I use cartridges like R4s, Gateway 3DSs, MIG Switches, so on and so forth. Now, honestly, with the Nintendo Switch basically being sort of abandoned by me, I literally have been playing most of my games on the deck, like LA Noire, but seriously, playing anything on a device where you can store up to like 62 games, plus your emulated stuff, is infinitely better than carrying around any device that still requires physical media in this situation, which is great, but ultimately, even with all of its, capabilities, still is far inferior to, again, the processing power of like a Steam Deck. Anyways, this isn't a Steam Deck versus Switch video. This is a video about how this device has gotten a lot of controversy, because Ladies and gentlemen, it is fucking under a lawsuit right now. Nintendo has decided to drop another one of its famous lawsuits against Ryan, who is also known as Modded Hardware. Now, this is a website that anybody could access to, and by the way, any website that I show, I completely disavow. I do not recommend you purchase anything from these sites. So for instance, going to this Modded Hardware website takes me to all of this stuff where you can buy modded Nintendo Switches right here. Now, obviously, in this entire world, you can buy like mod chips for old Switches, for OLED Switches. You can even buy them pre-hacked, pre-modded. So you can just order them as if they were actual consoles and get them sent over. Now, obviously, these mixed Switches have basically been sold out, and they're not bringing any of them back. But it's kind of crazy. Like, I've actually seen them selling 3DSs for $289. I literally showed you how to do this with any 3DS, and these people are basically selling modified 3DSs, on the market. So what I find really wild about this is while Nintendo is suing them, I just want to show you the most insane shit on Amazon. For $30, for $30 right now, some random brand is fucking selling 510-in-1 game cartridges. So Nintendo is going after this one company, actually bringing a lawsuit, but yet all of a sudden these companies that exist where they're openly selling fucking literal 3DS versions of games. We're talking games like Mario and Luigi, Partners in Time, New Super Mario Brothers, Pokemon White, Pokemon Black, Soul Silver, some of their biggest titles. They're just openly fucking selling them. On Amazon, you can order this shit right now and it comes to your fucking house. R4s freely sold right here. Let's just, like, imagine having the R4 JIC chips all sold right next to official versions of video games. It is actually insane how Nintendo does not go after these guys, but instead launches lawsuits. So going back to their lawsuit, the complaints are for trafficking and circumvention devices, copyright infringement, contributory copyright infringement, and breach of contract and tortious interference with contract. So they want a goddamn jury trial in this situation. I'm sure it's all going to probably end in a settlement, but a pretty scary settlement. So to give you an idea, what they talk about is basically Nintendo seeks redress or an immediate stop to willful unlawful conduct by Ryan, also known as moddedhardware.com. Via the website, defendant sells a variety of products specifically designed to circumvent Nintendo's technological protection measures. Now, as much as I have a disdain for Nintendo jumping into, these R4 cards, they are actually right. If you are violating Nintendo's technological protection measures, they have 100% rights to absolutely shut you down. There's nothing to it. And here they specifically reference that MIG switch device and the MIG dumper. Devices that I wanted to actually make videos on, but considering that Nintendo is literally going after and suing actual retailers for this, it's scary. It makes me not want to make those videos. And anybody that has made those videos, Linus included, might need to be a little careful. And I think even in his video, he talked about if things are too hot for YouTube, you go to his float plane service. Because again, talking about this kind of stuff and actually showing people how to pirate games or using this kind of stuff is against YouTube terms of services. So what they actually mentioned too is not just reselling those things, but specifically for this site, pre-installing onto hacked consoles unauthorized copies of copyright Nintendo games. They violated their copyrights. If this is true, this is probably the dumbest fucking behavior they can do. But honestly, given the Amazon shit that I showed you, why aren't they going after those crazy brands? They're literally selling 510-in-1 cartridges for like $30. Half the price of some of the Switch software that you've seen here. And those don't even come with the games, for crying out loud. So in the prayer, they want a preliminary and permanently enjoining defendant, his officers, employees, and all persons acting in concert or participation. They want to basically prevent them for any, further distribution, sale, and provision of those circumvention devices, hacked consoles, whatever. They want the defendant to shut down the website and any social media accounts, communications platforms, e-commerce websites, anything. And then they want defendant to deliver to Nintendo all circumvention devices, so everything in their stock, they want them. But what's even wilder and what scares the shit out of me is 4, requiring defendant to provide Nintendo of America with any and all invoices, purchase orders, shipping confirmations, receipts, and any other documentation reflecting revenue received by defendant in connection to those circumvention devices, hacked consoles, and circumvention services. So immediately it makes me kind of worried a little bit. If you bought your devices from their fucking website, which I know some content creators have, then your information in this lawsuit, if it goes to court or even if they settle it, eventually has to go to Nintendo. Now, there's a bit of a fear that Nintendo could choose to go after the actual purchasers, but I consider this to be a little bit unlikely myself, just because in the past, I think that, when it came to other lawsuits regarding the R4, I don't think Nintendo really ever went out of their way to go after individuals who are purchasing this. Because honestly, to go after somebody who purchased a third-party piece of hardware, you also have to prove that they were part of piracy. I don't think Nintendo legally is going out of their way to do that. So up until this point, people have been trying to figure out who MixSwitch really is. Who is this one company behind this? And according to Wololo, which is one of the most sought after websites when it comes to, console modifications, they actually talk about it through, again, a researcher known as Mike Heskin. They actually said apparently it's possible that After Time X, which is a publication that was basically fucking promoting the MixSwitch when it was first announced, which is how I found out about it, we're just a front pretending to be a regular news site, but really just hyping the Switch. That wouldn't be the first time, and that's basically what Max consoles were. So they were looking through the actual history of the site, and they found out it was pretty dormant in 2019 until in 2023, they could find out that from Brainstorm Network, one of the mail servers is mail.garyopa.com. Now, this is a bit of a scary situation. If you don't remember Gary Bowser, the guy who was sued by Nintendo for basically being a thorn in their ass, if Gary was actually behind the MixSwitch, Nintendo, who has already fucked him legally, might choose to completely send that motherfucker to a gulag at this point. So Gary denies this and says that he's not involved with it, and basically it was because of something known as DNS poisoning, which, listen, if that's the case, I really hope my boy Gary isn't behind it, because pissing off Nintendo once and them ruining your life is already bad. Getting Nintendo to actually send you to a gulag or send John Wick to your fucking house, well, that's just the next stage. So yeah, one of the videos that I kind of wanted to make, I'm actually surprised I didn't make it, because I was away for the weekend. I was going to come back and talk about it. It's going to be part of a big thing. I was going to show you some of the cool stuff that you could do. No, it's not happening. And to be honest, given how Nintendo is chasing after these people by searching for purchase orders, makes me a little worried for how far they're going. I don't know why Nintendo would do that, other than maybe to prove how much damage that they might have suffered based on how many devices were sold. But yeah, one of the and you know what? At the end of the day, the Nintendo Switch is at the tail end of its life. But yeah, Nintendo clearly, in order to protect their brand and property, are absolutely going to be fighting against anything that could let somebody play maybe a late stage Switch game right on their device, without ever purchasing from Nintendo. So yeah, wild shit indeed. Wild day. It's not often that you possess a cartridge that, honest to God, would have you legally in danger from Nintendo. But to be fair, I've been kind of cutting it close. So who knows, ladies and gentlemen. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like if you dislike it. This is me, Mutahar, and it's another reminder to show you, if it's any gaming company you don't want to fuck with, it's absolutely Nintendo. I'm out.